Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Real Crimes. So, in today's story, we are going all the way to West Africa. And in West Africa, we're starting off in Ghana. So, in Ghana, the year is 1945 and the month is March. All right. And there is a coastal town called Elmina. So in the coastal town of Elmina, which was close to the coast, this is a coastal town. So there was it's still there, the coastal town of Elmina. And then there was family that lived in that same town, and this family was called the Krakraba family. I hope I am getting these names very correctly. I will definitely be putting the spellings of these names so that if I don't pronounce them correctly, you still get the right names. Okay, so the Krakraba family had a daughter, and this daughter was called Amma. She was a little girl. So on 17th of February 1945, Amma goes missing. Her mom got really frantic. She got scared. She was suspicious of what was happening. So she raised the alarm and she went to accuse a man called Kweku. Kweku, I need you to remember this about Kweku. Kweku was a regent. A regent is a person who is sitting in for a king. This place, not a king, a chief. So this place didn't have a chief, and there was somebody who was sitting in, who was the acting chief. And he was hoping to be the ultimate chief. So I need you to remember that. He was a regent. He wasn't a chief. He was a regent. So that means there is other people also that are vying to be in the position of the chief. And obviously with all politics, there is factions, right? Remember that. It's going to be very useful as the story proceeds. So Amma's mom even went on to Kweku's house and accused him of taking her daughter. Obviously, she didn't have proof. She was just talking. She was just suspicious because of what was happening at that time. There was a lot of political tension, and there was a lot of going to courts and fighting for positions. And obviously, when that happens in the African culture, there is usually ritual murders because somebody is trying to secure a position. So after she went to Kweku's house and accused him of kidnapping her daughter, he obviously denied it. Deny. And she called the rest of the village and they put together a search party. They looked for the little girl. They couldn't find her. Fast forward, 19th of March, 1945, between 6:30 a.m. and 7 a.m., a body was found by the beach. Remember, I said it's a coastal town. So a body was found by the beach at the bathing spot. Remember, this is a village. So people go and take a bath by the beach. So there is a spot where they actually call the bathing spot where they can go and take their bath. Okay, so they found a body of a little girl there. And the villagers were called in to look at the girl, and they looked at the girl, and Amu's mother discovered that that was her daughter. But something was very fishy. Okay, something was just not right about this girl's body. Both her lips were missing. Both her cheeks were missing. What is that? Her eyes were missing. Her private parts were missing. And some parts of her skin from her body were also missing. So according to the coroner who did a postmortem on this child, there was no water in her lungs. There was no water in her stomach, so they ruled out drowning. She did not drown. She didn't die from drowning. Secondly, there were a lot of wounds on her body that suggested big blood vessels were exposed, so she probably bled to death. But now we have missing body parts, and that can only spell out one thing: ritual murder. So investigations start, and after investigations were concluded, or at least preliminary investigations, they discovered that indeed Kweku had kidnapped Ama. And the time that Ama's mom was looking for her, Ama was on the 3rd floor of Kweku's house. He stayed in what they called the bridge house. So she was on the 3rd floor of that house while her mom was frantic and anxious and searching for her, and the search party around the village. That is where Ama was. So Kweku was arrested. He wasn't arrested alone. He was arrested with other people from his faction. Who are these people? I'm just going to say their first names. I cannot say their surnames. Yeah. So there was a man called Joe, there was Herbert, there was Nana, and there was Joseph. Then Kweku makes them 5 people, right? So the 5 people were arrested. And further investigations revealed that they actually had murdered the child because that's what they'd been told by a traditional healer, to bring those parts, those body parts, to help them with the case that was before the courts. So their faction was in court. Remember, I said he's a regent and he is trying to secure the position of the chief. And they're going through the courts. There is a case that's going on. They are fighting about this chieftain's position. This is a whole politics. There was a lot of politics happening there. So anyway, it revealed that they had been told to bring these body parts to help them win the case. So a whole child was killed so that somebody could win a court case, so that somebody could become a chief. Okay? And then they were arrested on the 24th of March. So from May the 16th, 1945 to June the 2nd, 1945, the trial of the 5 that were being charged with first-degree murder. Okay? So it was running, the trial ran from May the 16th to June the 2nd in the year 1945. And they were all found guilty as charged. But they were not having it. No, because they were convicted and sentenced to hanging. They were not going to have it. They appealed to the West African court. Not in April. On June the 24th, the same year, 1945, the West African court found them guilty and again sentenced them to hanging. They wouldn't rest though. They were not about to give up. They were not going to die easily. They were not going to go down without a fight. They appealed to the Privy Council. That's a whole new level. Like, that's the highest, probably the highest court of the land. They applied there, and in July, again, they were found guilty and sentenced to hanging. Basically sentenced, they were given the death penalty. Right, so there was nowhere else left for them to appeal. So they were sitting on death row from July 14th, 1945 until February of 1946. On the 1st of February, 1946, Kweku and 3 others were handed down their sentence, meaning they were executed. They were killed by hanging. Okay. And then on the 2nd of February 1946, the remaining two were also executed by hanging. You can actually kind of draw similarities between Ama's death, which was a ritual murder, and little Tapiwa Makore's murder. May their souls continue to rest in peace. So you can see that these ritual murders have been happening from time immemorial. And yeah, it looks like it's something that's not going to leave our African continent, because we are talking about Ghana right now, West Africa, and the same thing happened recently in Zimbabwe, which is down south of the continent. So yeah, unfortunately, well, for Ama, we know why she was killed, but for Tapiwa, we still, I personally still don't know why he was killed. I don't know. I haven't been able to find that information as to why he was killed, what were they trying to achieve, or who was trying to do what were the body parts for. I personally haven't been able to find that information. So like it's really sad when people believe that killing small children is going to give them power or going to put them in better positions. Still in Ghana and still talking about ritual murders. So in December of 2010, in the court of Asin Fosho, there was a case that was just opening, a murder case that was just opening. This was a case where 24-year-old Mensa was being charged with the murder of his own 3-year-old son, Kojo. Right, so Mensa was a truck driver. I don't know now. So Mensa was a truck driver at that time, and yeah, so he was being charged with the murder of his own son, and apparently he had beheaded his own son. So while people are sitting, the courtroom was packed with villagers who had come to hear the case as well as to express how they felt about Mensa. Some people were cursing him, some people were crying because of what had happened, and others were obviously trying to console those that were crying, as well as try to comfort Joko's mom, Cynthia. Okay, let's talk about Cynthia. So in 2007, Cynthia and Mensa were in a relationship, and Cynthia got pregnant. When she got pregnant, Mensa said he was not responsible. He denied responsibility of the pregnancy and left the village. He went quiet. Cynthia was left to carry the pregnancy by herself, as well as to raise her little boy with the help of her family. And she named the little boy Kojo. And in December of 2010, Mensa resurfaced. Why? Well, simple. His grandpa had passed on and he came for the funeral. Oh, what a great disguise. What a great reason to come home, right? That was not the only reason he came home. But anyway, it looked like he came home for his grandpa's funeral. Welcome. What followed is then something that makes you think, well, he just got a good excuse to come home, but he already had his plans. So when Mensa got home for his grandpa's funeral, he also took time to go and see Cynthia's family and beg them to forgive him and convince them that now he had grown, he has come back to be a father to his child. He wants to take care of his child and he wants to be there for his son. And yeah, we are Africans, we forgive. And we also obviously want our children to grow up knowing both their parents. So the family did forgive him. He stayed in Cynthia's family home until it was late, until they even gave him a room to sleep. Yes, he put up for the night in Cynthia's family home. The following following day, Mensa went back to his family, and yeah, they were doing the preparations for the funeral. Funeral day came, and Mensa went to Cynthia's family home early in the morning, around 7, and he asked Cynthia to bath Kojo and prepare him so that he could go for the funeral with his son. And he said he was going to go early because they're family, right? Cynthia would follow with her own family later because they are in the same village. That's what we do. We mourn with those that are mourning in the same village, right? Right. So what does Cynthia do? Cynthia bathes his son and prepares and says her goodbyes. And Mensa is taking hold of his son's hand, walking hand in hand like the loving father that he is, and taking his son to the funeral. Only that he was not taking his son to his grandpa's funeral, but he was taking him to his own death. Who would have thought? So Mensa walks with his little boy, and then he leaves the main road, diverts, takes a detour, goes into the bush where he meets this native doctor. And this native doctor did what he did. Right. After he noticed that, okay, this is what has happened. After that had happened, Mensa tried to run away and to leave the body there because they had taken the parts that they needed, the native doctor needed. So he tried to just vanish from the place. But unfortunately, somebody saw him, and it was one of the villagers who called other villagers, and they apprehended him and took him to the police. They later called Cynthia and told her, oh, this is what has happened. Your child has been beheaded and the father is in the police station. We have taken him to the police station. Cynthia went to the police station to also find out, and yeah, it was true. And she also found her child. Yes, it was true. Some body parts had been removed from the child. And this traditional or this native doctor was nowhere to be found. Okay, so on this day, the court is in session and villagers are whispering to each other. One villager has a theory. Mensa was promised 35,000 Ghanaian cedis, which is like 5,780 US dollars. That's what one villager is saying. Another villager says, no, actually, Mensa was doing a ritual to get rich. He was trying to do a ritual to get rich. Okay? Villagers have a lot of theories happening there. They are just talking about why, what's the possible reason why he could have done this. You know, people come up with their own theories. But anyway, now let's go into the court. The court is in session and Mensa is brought into the box. And then he's not asked to plead. He's just, they read the case to him, and yeah, there he was. So the judge said, okay, you are remanded in custody until the 20th of December 2010. Okay, this was on the 6th of December 2010. However, the judge asked Mensa, do you have anything to say? Oh, by the way, Mensa was swollen. The villagers had beaten him up. So he was all swollen and he could hardly talk. But he managed to tell the judge that, yes, I did this. And I want to explain why I did it. But the judge said, not so fast. This is not the time for you to be explaining. You will get your chance when the trial starts. For now, you just came for your first appearance, for us to read your charges to you. So you cannot explain anything. Okay, so here is what Mensa said to the police while they were interviewing him before he appeared before the court. He said, according to police records, he had only done what he did because a traditional healer had told him that he must bring body parts so that they could do a ritual for him to get rich quick. So he couldn't think of any other person except his son. And when his grandfather died, that was like an opportunity presented on a silver platter. He had a reason to come home. He had a reason, he had a good excuse to present himself to Cynthia's family and to say that he's back, he wants to be in his child's life, and you know. Also, he said he had been given a ring and some herbs by the traditional healer to swallow, so that when he goes to talk to Cynthia's family, they would not object to anything that he says. They would just buy everything, take it in. Yes, correct. And that's what had happened. What I don't know is it true that he was given those herbs and the ring? We don't know if it's true that he was doing this for a get-rich-quick scheme. We don't know that. So I've tried to do a bit of research to find out what then happened to Mensa. What then, was he found guilty? How long was he sentenced for? And, you know, just what happened to him? There is just no information, sadly. Poor child had to die because the father wanted to get rich quick. But here's the thing. I hope and pray that they found him guilty and they probably put him away for a very long time and just throw the key away in the sea or something, you know. I really hope that he paid for his crime. I honestly hope that he paid for his crime, because no, that's just not right. That's not right. But anyway, yeah, that's another story from West Africa, Ghana. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to stay away from crime, because if you do crime, you definitely have to do the time. Stay away from crime, stay away from trouble. Don't find yourselves wanting, don't find yourselves in a bad situation. Remember to stay blessed.